You ever have one of those mornings where something feels off? I should have known it the moment I walked into the kitchen and saw my wife, Lily, already dressed like she had a TED talk to give. Blazer, lipstick, that "I've had an idea" sparkle in her eyes that usually meant trouble for me. "Good morning," she chirped, setting a thick binder in front of my coffee mug like it was a sacred relic. "Today's a new chapter in our life." Oh boy. I stared at the binder. White cover, printed label in that Pinterest font she loves. The 30 rules to a happy, harmonious marriage. "Lily," I said cautiously, "this looks serious." "It is," she beamed. "I've been working on this for weeks, inspired by everything we've been reading, relationship books, couples podcasts, Dr. Marla's YouTube. Remember? Structure brings freedom. These rules will help us thrive." I took a sip of my coffee, burned my tongue. Couldn't even blame her for that. She sat across from me, eyes locked on mine like I was being interviewed for my own husband position. I opened the binder. The first page had a quote in big, bold letters. "Love isn't luck, it's logistics." She had laminated it. "Oh, we're laminating now," I muttered. "Of course," she said. "It's meant to last." The rules were something else. Just a few highlights from memory. No phones after 9 p.m., screens ruin intimacy, daily gratitude check-ins. We each share one thing we appreciate. Mandatory Saturday night connection hour. No TV, just deep eye contact and emotional inventory. Bathroom door must be closed. All bodily functions are private. Emotional touch points every Monday. 15-minute sit-down to recalibrate feelings. No sarcasm during conflict. Each person must initiate intimacy equally. Track in shared spreadsheet. Yes, a spreadsheet. For intimacy. "Lily," I said slowly, flipping through the laminated commandments. "Is this a joke? Like a funny thing we laugh about over pancakes?" She frowned. "Number. Why would this be a joke?" "Because," I waved a hand. "This looks like HR training for a marriage." Her tone stiffened. "That's exactly the problem, Mark. You don't take these things seriously, you just float through life. These rules are structure, commitment. This is how we grow." "By scheduling gratitude like dentist appointments?" She didn't laugh. Instead, she pulled out a second binder. One was for me. One was for her. They had our initials on them. That should have been the moment I walked. Not literally, but at least mentally backed out of the room and said, "No thanks, I'm good." But I didn't, because I'm Mark. And Mark tries. Mark smiles. Mark says, "Let's give it a shot." And so Mark found himself later that night, sitting on the couch, staring at Lily in awkward silence because it was time for connection hour. "Let's do eye contact," she said. I stared. She stared. I blinked. "You're not being present," she said. "Because I'm thinking about pizza," I said. She sighed. I stared harder. "Mark, eye contact isn't a staring contest. Then stop timing it on your phone." By the end of day 2, I was emotionally exhausted. By the end of week 1, I was ready to throw the binder into a bonfire. But I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I started tweaking the rules. Just a little. Not to destroy her little utopia, but to survive it. Or maybe, just maybe, to make a point. By day 9, I was no longer just enduring the binder. I was interacting with it. Like a cat with a Christmas tree. Curious, passive-aggressive, mildly destructive. Let's start with rule number 2. Daily gratitude check-ins. Every morning, I was supposed to tell Lily one thing I appreciated about her. Fine, I can play. "I appreciate that you laminated the rules. It really captures the essence of our marriage. Plastic, cold, and permanent." She blinked. "That's not funny, Mark." "It's gratitude. And I'm grateful. Technically compliant." Rule number 14. No sarcasm during conflict. So I started being sarcastic before conflict. Preemptively. At breakfast. "You didn't rinse your mug again." Wow, I am so sorry. How can I ever earn back your trust? Shall I resign from coffee altogether? She narrowed her eyes. That's sarcasm. That's performance-based regret, darling. Different category. Then came rule number 6. Bathroom doors must remain closed. Apparently, love dies when someone hears a flush. So I installed a hotel-style occupied sign on the bathroom knob. And I'd loudly announce, "Your Majesty enters the chamber of porcelain solitude," every time I walked in. She stopped laughing after the third time. Or second, who's counting? But the real art came with rule number 3, Saturday connection hour. You think I'd ignore it? No, I embraced it. Hard. That Saturday, I wore a turtleneck and lit a candle. When Lily sat down, I held both her hands dramatically and whispered, "Let us explore the depths of our emotional tides, my sovereign." Mark. I feel the winds of vulnerability stirred deep within me, probably somewhere near the sarcasm gland. Mark. Shh, don't resist the moment. She got up and walked away. I logged our eye contact session in the shared spreadsheet as 2 minutes, intense eye performance. Outcome, emotional fog, slight nausea. Later that night, she cornered me in the kitchen. "I know what you're doing," she said. "I'm complying, joyfully, spiritually, ironically." She wasn't amused. "This matters to me, Mark," she said, her voice low now. "I'm trying to improve our marriage." "I know," I said, and I meant it. But I also felt like I was living inside a group project I never signed up for, and getting graded anyway. By week 3, I stopped fighting the system. I started playing it, rule by rule, word for word, but always with a twist. Rule number 8, equal intimacy initiation. That one? I texted her every third day with messages like, "Initiating protocol, human affection sequence V3.2. Please confirm readiness." Or, "Per spreadsheet parameters, it is now my turn to suggest closeness. Press 1 to accept, press 2 to deny, and escalate to conflict resolution phase." She stopped replying to those. Then she updated the rules. Seriously. One morning, I woke up to an email titled, "Binder 2.0, Improvements Based on Live Feedback." There were now 33 rules. She added one that said, "Do not mock or distort the spirit of the rules. Intention matters more than performance." Oh, so now we're grading on vibes too. But here's the twist. I wasn't just trying to be funny. I was trying to survive something that didn't feel like love anymore. It felt like compliance, like I was being turned into a system user instead of a husband. I missed us, the weird, chaotic, spontaneous version of us. Not this PowerPoint love, not the relationship as a startup. I started looking at the door, not metaphorically, literally. I lasted another 2 weeks. 2 full weeks. That's 14 more days of spreadsheet intimacy, laminated expectations, and polite warfare over dish towel placement. Rule number 19, if you're curious. Kitchen towels must be folded in half, not thirds, to maintain visual calm. By then, I had developed 2 new hobbies: logging fake emotional recalibrations into her binder and drinking wine directly from the bottle after she fell asleep during her meditation playlist. One Tuesday evening, we were having dinner. Tofu stir-fry, candle lit, binder present at the table like a silent dinner guest. I had started calling it the third spouse. She cleared her throat. "So, I've been thinking about rule number 24. "Of course you have." She continued, "I feel like you haven't fully engaged with the shared weekly vision board. We agreed it should be a Sunday ritual." I set my fork down slowly. I didn't say anything yet. I just looked at her. "You said you'd print some inspirational quotes," she added, already defensive. "You said you'd help cut out images from the magazines, but I did it alone again." "Lily," I said quietly, "I'm not sure I want to spend my Sunday nights glue-sticking phrases like, 'Find your inner ocean' onto poster board." Her eyes narrowed. "Why are you always mocking what brings me joy?" "I'm not mocking. I'm just not inspired by my inner ocean." I like my ocean angry, stormy, with shipwrecks. Mark, look, I sighed. It's not about the magazines. It's about the fact that our marriage feels like a group project with KPIs. She leaned forward. You don't want to work on us? I did, I said. I tried. I did the eye staring. I did the emotional touch points. I even hugged you next to the cat and held in my sarcasm until I thought I'd combust. So you were faking? No, I was trying. Until I realized I wasn't your husband anymore. I was a compliance officer in a romantic bureaucracy. That hit her. She sat back, silent. You're treating love like a software rollout, I said. First came the beta test, then the update, then the patch notes, and every time I adapt there's a new version. Because we grow, she snapped. That's what healthy couples do. They evolve. No, Lily, healthy couples breathe. They stumble. They forgive, not grade each other. Silence again. Then she looked down at the binder and said, almost mechanically, these rules are the structure that support our happiness. And I'm telling you, I said, they're suffocating me. Then came the line, the one that clicked everything into place. If you don't want to follow these rules, she said slowly, then maybe you don't want a happy life. I stared at her. Let that settle in. That's what you really think? I asked. That unless I obey 30 laminated laws, I'm rejecting happiness? She didn't blink. These rules are us, Mark. They're how we protect what we have. I stood up, gently. No anger, just empty. Then maybe, I said, we don't have the same idea of happiness anymore. That night I slept on the couch. The binder stayed in our bedroom, like a cold totem of everything I wasn't allowed to be anymore. After that dinner, after that sentence, something cracked, not loudly. There was no yelling, no slamming of doors, just silence, the kind that hums under everything, in the kitchen, in bed, in how you pass each other without brushing fingers. We didn't talk about the binder again. It stayed on her side of the table, unopened, like a sacred text no one believed in anymore, but no one dared throw away. Lily still stuck to the rules, but now she did it alone. She'd light the candle every Saturday night for connection hour, but she'd sit by herself, scrolling affirmations on her phone. Once, I saw her open the binder and close it again 2 seconds later. She still left her gratitude notes on my nightstand. Neat handwriting. Thank you for watering the plants. Thank you for taking out the trash. Thank you for existing calmly today. No heart, no soul, just bureaucracy of affection. I stopped leaving notes back. We were becoming roommates with paperwork. In the mornings, I'd make coffee, and she'd be already typing on her laptop, earbuds in. She stopped asking about my day. I stopped pretending to ask about hers. At night, she'd meditate. I'd pretend to read, then scroll memes in the bathroom for 40 minutes. One night, I heard her cry in the bedroom. Not loud, not messy, just soft sobbing, like she didn't want even herself to hear. I didn't go in, and I hate that. We still said goodnight, we still said love you, but the words had static, like they were coming from another room, through a bad connection. I started staying later at work, volunteered for overtime I didn't need, stopped rushing home. I even started taking the long way back, just to avoid the driveway for 5 more minutes. She knew. Of course she knew. You don't laminate 30 rules for a person without studying the smallest signs. But she didn't say anything, and neither did I. The scariest part wasn't the arguments. It was the quiet compliance. We weren't a couple anymore. We were a project neither of us had the courage to abandon. She clung to structure. I clung to avoidance. She cooked dinner. I did the dishes. She booked date night on the shared calendar. I marked tentative. We became a 2-person office that refused to shut down because the lights still worked and the furniture wasn't broken. But the people inside? They were gone. I didn't plan it. It wasn't some big this is it moment. No dramatic music, no inner monologue. It was a Tuesday. I came home early, walked in. The apartment was quiet. Lily was at the dining table, scribbling something into her notebook. Not the binder, just a plain journal. She looked up, startled. "You're home early." "Yeah," I said. "Didn't feel like driving in circles today." I stood there for a second, bag still on my shoulder. Then I sat down across from her. "We need to talk." She blinked. "About what?" I took a deep breath. "About us. About how this feels." She nodded slowly but didn't say anything. I didn't have a speech prepared. I just started talking. "I know things have been off, cold, and I know I've been a jerk about the rules, about all of it. I mocked, I resisted, I sabotaged. That part's on me." She tilted her head a little. Her face softened, but her mouth stayed closed. "I wasn't trying to hurt you," I said. "I was trying not to disappear." Now she looked at me. Really looked, not like I was a task or a checklist item. Just looked. I continued. "You started building a system, and it was organized and thoughtful and structured. But somewhere in that structure, I stopped being your husband. I started being, I don't know, an assistant, a beta tester for emotional software." She gave a small, breathy laugh. Sad, a little cracked. "I just wanted us to be better," she said finally. "I thought, if we had rules, we'd be safe." "From what?" I asked. "From falling apart," she said, almost a whisper. I reached across the table, touched her hand. She didn't pull away. "We are falling apart," I said gently, quietly, in laminated silence. Her eyes filled, not with anger, not even hurt, just a kind of tired grief. "I didn't know what else to do," she said. "We were drifting, Mark, before the rules. You were always somewhere else. Work, phone, in your head." She was right. I had been escaping long before the binders showed up. Maybe the rules weren't the problem. Maybe they were the symptom. "I'm not perfect," I said. "I suck at expressing things. I shut down. I make jokes when I should be honest. But I miss us. The messy, unpredictable us. The version that didn't need a vision board to feel close." She bit her lip. "I don't even know how to be that again," she whispered. "I'm scared if we let go of all this, there'll be nothing underneath." "There's something," I said. "Or at least there was. But we can't get back to it by managing each other like interns." She nodded, slowly, wiped a tear, then asked, "So what now?" And that's when I realized the truth. We weren't just disconnected. We were two people trying to rebuild something from completely different blueprints. I wanted chaos and chemistry. She wanted peace and procedure. Neither one was wrong, but they didn't match. Not anymore. That night, after our conversation, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was angry, not even because I was heartbroken. I just couldn't lie still next to someone I used to love in motion, and now only loved in memory. Lily was curled up on the far edge of the bed. She always slept close when we were good. This time, the space between us felt like an ocean full of silence, laminated rules, and unresolved feelings. I lay there staring at the ceiling, counting the lines in the paint. At some point I got up, quietly, walked barefoot through the apartment to the dining table, and there it was, the binder, sitting exactly where she always left it, right next to the fake succulent and the color-coded pen she used for her progress markings. I sat down across from it like it was a person, stared at the word on the cover, 30 Rules to a Happy, Harmonious Marriage. What a joke. I opened it. Rule 1. No phones after 9 p.m. to promote emotional closeness. I chuckled under my breath. We hadn't been emotionally close in months. Rule 2. Daily gratitude check-ins. Rule 3. Mandatory Saturday connection hour. Rule 7. Intimacy initiation tracker. Equal efforts expected. Each one felt like a tiny gravestone. I turned page after page, and with each laminated sheet, I felt the weight of what we'd become, or what we were pretending to be. I don't know what came over me, but something snapped. I grabbed the binder with both hands, yanked out the first page, and felt the clean thrill of destruction. One by one, I ripped them out. Rule after rule, page after page. They didn't tear easily. The lamination resisted me like skin over bone, but that only made it feel more real. By the time I got to Rule 27, I was standing. Page 30 went last. Speak only from I perspective during disagreements. I'm done, I said aloud. I looked down at the shredded pile on the floor. It looked like snow, plastic snow, cold and perfect and meaningless. I stood there for a full minute, breathing. Lily stirred as I opened the drawer and started quietly packing a bag. Just a few clothes, my laptop, my charger, my toothbrush. She sat up, groggy. Mark? I turned to her. Calm, no anger, just honesty. I can't do this anymore. Her eyes were wide. You mean tonight or? I mean this, I said, gesturing softly. The rules, the lists, the performance, the pressure to be a good student in my own marriage. Silence. I'm not even mad, I said. I'm just done pretending this is love. She stared at me, blinked fast, like she was trying to process, but her brain kept rejecting it. I tried, Lily, I said gently. Not just the rules, I tried us. But this version? It's killing me slowly, quietly, and I don't want to die like that. She said nothing. Her bottom lip trembled, just slightly. I zipped the bag, walked to the door, put on my shoes in the dark. Before I left, I turned back. The woman I once adored was sitting in bed, knees hugged to her chest, surrounded by the echo of a life organized to death. We didn't say goodbye, but I left the shredded pages. A funeral for what we thought structure could save. I got in the car, started the engine, no music, just night air and breath. And as I pulled out of the driveway, I felt something unfamiliar. Lightness. Not joy, not triumph, just lightness. Like I'd been carrying a weight I forgot was there and finally put it down. When I drove away that night, I didn't know where I was going. Just somewhere that wasn't that apartment. Somewhere without rules on the fridge. Somewhere I could breathe. I ended up at a cheap motel just off the highway, parked under a flickering sign that buzzed louder than the thoughts in my head. Checked in. Sat on the edge of the bed for a long time. Didn't turn the TV on, just stared at the wall. Not because I was overwhelmed, because I was still. And that stillness felt more honest than anything I'd felt in our connection hours in months. The days after that were quiet. I stayed with a friend for a while, got an apartment of my own, started cooking badly again, eggs with burnt edges and toast that was never quite even. It was mine, though, and no one corrected it. Lily texted a few times, at first just to ask where I was, then to ask if we could talk. Then came the longer message, the one where she said she'd throw away the binder, that she realized maybe she had gone too far, that maybe, just maybe, they didn't need rules if we could just remember who we were before all of it. I read it twice. She meant it. I believe that. But I also knew it was too late. Something had broken between us, and not in a dramatic way, not like glass shattering, more like fabric tearing, slowly, silently, until one day you realize the seam isn't holding anymore. It wasn't about the rules, not really. It was about how I felt trying to live inside someone else's version of love. Like a guest, like an employee on probation. I didn't leave her to punish her. I left because I finally realized I wasn't choosing myself. The divorce went through 2 months later. No courtroom drama, no lawyers slinging insults, just 2 signatures and a notary who looked like he'd seen hundreds of stories like ours. When I walked out of that office, I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel free in the Hollywood sense. I just felt clean, like a fog had lifted. Now I live in a small apartment with a lopsided bookshelf and a couch that squeaks when I sit too fast. There's no vision board, no gratitude logs, no emotional calibration meetings scheduled for Monday evenings. And I don't love being alone every second. But at least the silence here is mine, not weaponized, not structured. just quiet. Sometimes I even miss her. Her laugh, her ambition, even the way she used to hum when she folded laundry. But I don't miss who I became with her. And I don't want to go back to a life where love had to be proven by policies. Some things don't need to be laminated. They need to breathe. They need to bend, to stumble, to fall apart and rebuild naturally, not under supervision. And if love needs 30 rules to survive, maybe it's not love anymore. Maybe it's a job. And I already had one of those.